The hardest challenge I've had would be from, I was fighting a guy from Norway, Milson. He was ranked number 1 in the world. It was 2 weight divisions above me as well. A late notice fight, but 2 good opportunities to turn down. He stopped me in the end in the 3rd round, but it just made me stronger, made me realise that I was at that world level, even at a young age. Started with karate when I was 6 years old. It came to my local junior school. So from there, I did the karate for maybe 9 years. When I got to 12, I got my black belt, so I got really bored with it all, just teaching all the time. So I wanted something a bit more competitive. Because when I was in karate, it was always the sparring and the competitions that I preferred. So the next step up was to go into the kickboxing. My mum knew Jez Hall, who owned Shikara on Monson Street. So I just went along there one day, tried it out, and I've just been there ever since, or been kickboxing ever since. With kickboxing, there's not anyone on the international, in the media, to aspire to be like. So it was more looking up to the people that were training around. So when I was at Monson Street, we had the likes of Jez Hall, Lee Swaby, Jack Bowers, Trev Tacey, all top class fighters, world champions. So it was more those that you look up to, and it was just great that you could train with them as well. So you'd learn a lot from them, rather than just seeing them on the telly or reading about them in the papers. You could actually see them in person and learn from them. I'd say Lee Swaby and Trev Tacey mainly as fighters. My first coach was Jez Hall, fantastic coach. So that's who we started with, and then as I got into the fight team, that was taken over by a guy called Big Dave Walker. Again, great coach, really pushes you to your limits. Not the most technically gifted coach, but for giving you that self-belief, Dave Walker. That's who I started my fighting under, really, and it just went from there. When we were fighting, the diets were really tough. There'd be no pizzas, no chips, no crisps, no sweets. When you're 14, 15, that's what you're really into. So we had to cut all that out. So it would just be, clean foods, chicken, any sort of freshly cooked meat, steamed vegetables, salads. That would be the diet. And training, we'd be up at 5 in the morning out running, then going to school or work, and then training in the evening and running, and then bed, and then do it all again the following day. I started fighting professionally when I'd have been about 18. I fought a guy from Middlesbrough called Danny Burton. Fantastic fighter, very hard fighter. He'd had 21 fights, 21 wins, 19 wins by knockout. He was the current European champion. But when I was fighting him, the amateur and pro divide was totally different. There was nothing apart from, it was actually called a profile, that was any difference. There was no head guards, there was no difference in the rules. It was just the better class fighters would be classified as pro, and more the novices, up to maybe 10, 15 fights would be amateurs. I won that fight, stopped him in the 5th round. So that was a good fight, a good win. When you're fighting, you're always looking up to the fighters that are around you, and the coaches that you're working with. But I'd say the biggest one would be Aaron Robinson. I started training with him when I was 13, and we've just been through everything together. Any events that was fighting on would both be there, supporting each other through training camps, pushing each other right to the limits, travelling all over the place to get more training in, running together, eating out together, to make sure we was both eating the right foods. And then in the end I ended up running the gym with him as well for a few years. So I'd say Aaron Robinson was the closest person that I've had since starting. But winning the first bout, that's always, whenever anyone wants to step into the ring, they always want to win. And that's the goal, winning a fight and winning a belt. I won my first belt when I was 17, so I was still at school. I was fighting adults then. It was a British title, fighting a guy called Paul Bradbury from Birmingham. good reputation. It was meant to be a tough fight for me, but I stopped him in the 7th round. So yeah, that was my first bout, and being in front of the home crowd in Lincoln, the first show we'd had there for maybe 10 years, it was sold out, so all my friends, family were there, so that was a massive win, and great experience. When you're fighting, you're always going to be at risk of injury, whether it be a black eye or a broken nose, but I didn't really have anything. I broke my hand once in a fight in the 2nd round. So I had to fight the next 5 rounds with just one hand. So I had an operation. I was in pot for 9 weeks. After that one, I had screws put in my hand, but it didn't affect my training. It didn't really affect me that much in the fight. I still won the fight. So yeah, that'd be the worst injury I've had. But yeah, that was it. I haven't really had any broken noses or anything in competitions. I've had the odd black eye, swollen foot. But yeah, just a broken hand is the only thing I can really think about. I started running my own gym about 8 years ago now. Was training out of a local boxing gym. I was just a fighter at the time. It was just a small team of maybe 12 members, but it was 12 fighters, 12 good fighters. And then one day the coach said, that he'd had enough. He'd fell out of love with the coaching. So I was left with 2 options: either stop altogether or find another gym to fight through. I didn't really want to, move away from Lincoln Kickboxing Academy because I'd been there since the start. So we decided with Aaron Robinson that we was going to have a crack at running the gym on our own. So we carried on with the normal classes at the local boxing gym. And as the classes grew, I think the first session we had maybe 16 people there. So we'd already almost doubled the numbers of the old gym. And then it just went from strength to strength. The numbers grew and grew and grew. I think towards the end was getting between 40 and 50 people each class. 3 times a week in a small gym upstairs, so not much training area. So it got to the point where we had to further what we wanted to do with the students was to find a bigger place. And we looked around a couple of venues in Lincoln, and none really ticked all the boxes that we wanted. And then my granddad found this place, Lincoln Fight Factory on George Street. It was just an old industrial unit, massive open space, and as soon as we walked in we had a lot of ideas of what we could do with it. So ended up taking that on 5 years ago, and it's just gone from strength to strength. We've ended up taking over the next unit, putting 2 floors in there. We've got a fully equipped weights gym, cardio. We've got an upstairs grappling area. We've got the ring here. So that's it. Just been great. So many good memories in this place in such a short time. So many fantastic fighters have come through the doors. Made so many friends through the coaching. At the gym, we cater for everyone. We've got obviously the kickboxing, the K1, the boxing classes. We've got the mixed martial arts upstairs. We've got the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We do spinning classes, kettlebell classes, strongman classes, strong woman classes, boxercise, circuit training. We've got absolutely everything at the gym. So we really do cater for all ages, all sexes, all abilities. When you're coaching, there's a lot of things that make you proud, whether it be fighters winning fights, winning titles. That's always good. But I think it's when someone comes to you and they just give that thank you, for all you've done for them. When you're being told that you've changed someone's life, that's a massive thing. But I'd say the biggest one is I got asked to be a legal guardian for one of the students. Sadly, his dad passed away a couple of years ago, so it was just him and his sister and his mum. And we've taken the young man under our wing as such. He's come from no previous background in competing up to he's fighting at title standard now. And when they're looking up to you and the parents think of you in that regard, to be their legal guardian if anything was to happen to the mum, it shows you that you are doing something right, and that all the hard work, all the long hours, it's all worth it in the end.